How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's NFL DFS Preview Show. I am your host, TK Nation 47, bringing you guys the Sunday Night Football slate breakdown. We have the Indianapolis Colts visiting the San Francisco 49ers. What is expected to be an extreme weather forecast. We have high wind mile per hour winds with a chance of rain, about an 80% chance of rain. So this is going to be a different kind of football that we're used to for San Francisco, and we could see a very low scoring output because of it. Only a 42.5 point total. 49ers are favored minus 3.5, which is pretty typical for the home team. So this is almost like a straight pick 'em. It is a pretty evenly matched football game. We have some injuries with George Kittle and some of the receivers for the Colts to talk about. Here we are. We're going to do this on a DFS angle. If there was a outright bet, maybe you could take the Colts as that offensive line getting healthy. We'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so let's get into it. We're going to start off at the top here. We have Jonathan Taylor at 11K. Jonathan Taylor is a really good running back. The offensive line, as I mentioned, is getting healthy. So there is a lot of good, positive things running behind this DFS play. The only issue I have is his carry volume. In the last 6 weeks, it's only 14, 15, 16, 10, 15, 17. So no matter what, Jonathan Taylor's getting 15 carries a game. But is that what we want here at 11K? And I know raw points comes into play here, but it's not that easy to find a play down in the bottom half of this slate to really kind of lock in for a cash based idea. But I understand Taylor can score touchdowns inside the red zone, can score touchdowns on the San Francisco defense. That's not as stout as you would want. They have been giving up some points lately. They have given up yards in the last couple of matchups. But Jonathan Taylor, I'd say he is definitely a cash play based on his his talent level, but I just don't like what I've seen from the coaches in their way of playing this offense for the Colts. Just too many mouths to feed, and Taylor at 11K is a little risky in my opinion, but I think it's still a good play. The play I like from Indianapolis is definitely going to be Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has played really well the past couple of weeks. He's only 10-2, so you get pretty much a pretty safe discount. I consider him a core play tomorrow. San Francisco giving up 6-1 TD pass interception ratio the past couple of weeks. And, Carson Wentz has scored over 17 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. 2 touchdowns in each game. I'd say he's pretty safe heading into tonight's game. Even with the bad weather, that shouldn't affect Carson Wentz much because he's not typically a guy that's throwing the ball 30 yards down the field regularly. He's always trying to run the dink and dunks, and I think that could set up well for him today in this game. So give me Carson Wentz. Jimmy Garoppolo 10-6 is almost a fade. Just not even a guy that's... he doesn't have to worry about Trey Lance coming in and stealing any of his time. But I haven't seen an explosive game from Jimmy Garoppolo in almost a year and a half. And I'm not paying 10-6 to find out. I think that makes the better case for Taylor to be in the cash lineup because I don't have any faith in San Francisco's quarterback situation. Like, we're talking 20-14 in this game. It's pretty ugly. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think has a point total over 20. No, he has 19 on his point total because of a random rushing touchdown against Philly. 1 300-yard game, a couple under 200, no more than 2 touchdowns in one game. Indianapolis certainly isn't the world beater on defense, but they have some really good defensive playmakers, and I think they're getting a little healthier over time. So Garoppolo is GPP to fade, cash for Taylor. And then if you wanted to run the GPP fade and just start your lineups with, Carson Wentz and start picking apart here, Some of the guys I feel better about with Deebo Samuel 9,600. I don't think his target share is going to go down because of the bad weather. A 31% target share. I think he's the lone play for San Francisco here up top that I feel really strongly about. So Deebo Samuel captain, Deebo Samuel flex. Almost all my lineups will have Deebo Samuel for tomorrow, especially with George Kittle not on the field and Brandon Ayuk still battling through whatever it is he's dealing with the coaching staff. So Deebo Samuel lock in, and Carson Wentz lock in. Also going to lock in Michael Pittman Jr. too. Definitely a guy they try to get the football to. Now we have T.Y. Hilton out. Now Paris Campbell has been announced out. So Michael Pittman is going to be on the field for the majority of the snaps no matter what. I like him in this matchup for San Francisco, a team that's not really, like I said, stopping too many teams. They gave up 28 to the Seahawks. So, hey, Pittman, he's at least guaranteed, 7 to 8 targets a game. And I think, without that, throttle that they put on Houston last week, I think he still could have had a good game. So Michael Pittman, 8,800 is not too expensive as well. Eli Mitchell definitely took over the RB1 duties for San Francisco. He just looks a lot better than Trey Sermon or Jermichael Hasty. He is coming off of some injury with his shoulder, though. He did get 9 carries, 2 catches. I think his workload could increase in this matchup. I think he is playable. I just think he's touchdown dependent, but we know San Francisco is going to try to impose their will on the rushing attack. I just worry about Indianapolis's ability with some of the big boys and the good linebackers like Darius Leonard that are going to be keying on this run game, and that's why I think Deebo the better play in this position. Ayuk could be just a GPP streamer. There is no faith to go on. There's nothing else that you can point to this season. It's just odd to think that he was, a really good fantasy target last year, and something happened in the course of a year that's really thrown his target mark or his trajectory in this offense just out of rhythm, and I'm not sure what to expect from him. I think the better play would be Pascal at 6,200. Pascal's probably going to play quite a bit with the injuries that the Colts are seeing in the wide receiver position. 6,200 is right in the sweet spot for value on a slate like this, especially if we're paying for Carson Wentz and Deebo Samuel. I think Pascal would probably be a preferred option over a player like Nahim Heinz at 56. Nahim Heinz is going up against the normal workload of Jonathan Taylor and the emergence of Marlon Mack, and I don't think Indianapolis is going to trade Marlon Mack after what they've seen, and I think Nahim Heinz is starting going to crash back down to earth. Although he is a pretty decent receiving back, I don't think the carries that he's been getting is going to continue. If he does, that's just more reason to it's more possibilities to fading Taylor. I'm getting crazy with that thought, but in optimal lineups, my thought could be that Taylor might not get there if he doesn't score a touchdown and he only gets 56 yards. And then it's like, well, he's not going to be a part of the optimal if there's 3 or 4 more touchdowns in this game. So there's just different ways to play it. And Hines, I don't think is going to be the main focus on backup running back duties. So I could lead me to Marlon Mack at 1,400. Save me, quite a bit of salary, and I think the Mack and Taylor double stack could be. That's what won the showdown slate the last time the Colts were on primetime, I believe, with the Ravens, and I think that could be well worth the play. Marlon Mack has looked really good. Mo Alley Cox at 52. I'm gonna stay away from the tight ends for Indianapolis. San Francisco covers them pretty well. And there's always a 3-man rotation. They all don't run too many routes, and Mo Alley is touchdown dependent. I prefer Ross Dwelley in this situation without George Kittle. 4,800 looks like a really good price tag. Indianapolis isn't too good on stopping the run, but mainly it's about the 91 or the past tight ends. Excuse me. But really, it's about Ross Dwelley playing 91% of the snaps with George Kittle out, and that's what I want at 4,800. I think he's my favorite value play on the slate. Next up is kickers, and my esteemed colleague would always say kickers kick. But we have an interesting point here. Bagley coming in for the Blankenship, being put on IR. So he was kicking. I mean, he's kicked in California before, but guys, this is expected to be some pretty whipping winds with rain. I don't know if kickers are going to be optimal in a game like this. We could see a lot of missed kicks. So I think their floor is a really low floor, and for that reason, I might be out. Kyle Juszczyk, 4K. I actually really like this play. I'm not sure what to do with Hasty and Sermon and how they'll get time together. I think if San Francisco is down in this game, Hasty could get some work, but he's coming off of injury, and I think that just totally negates Trey Sermon. I think Trey Sermon could even be a healthy scratch, which is just crazy to think. He's a pretty good running back at Ohio State, but he's just not getting the love he needs for San Francisco. So make sure you're keeping an eye on what the news is for San Francisco's running back situations heading into the game. Juszczyk, always going to be a part of this offense. That's why I like him at 4K. He has plays out of the backfield. No George Kittle, so he's going to be lining up at tight end behind Dwelly. So I like Dwelly and Juszczyk quite a bit. Colts defense and 49ers defense are definitely in play here. Colts not really going to be... Colts can get to the quarterback at times, and Jimmy Garoppolo definitely a statue back there. They gave up 3 points last week, but that was to the Texans. But they have a sack in every game, and they have 4 games of 2 multiple sack games. And they look like they create some turnovers too. They've created 13 turnovers, so I think the Colts defense is well in play. San Francisco, we know they play well at home. They do give up points, but they do get to the quarterback, just not generating much turnovers. I think the preferred play here is the Colts. Seems like I'm leaning on a Colts win. I'm sure my boy Andrew and my boys Andrew and Adam are happy to hear that. Sino 2400. I don't mind him. You're just kind of hoping for 6 to 8 points, and everybody up top smashes. I think the preferred play down here is Marlon Mack at 1400. And last but not least, Ashton Dulin. Going to get some more increased snaps with Paris Campbell being out. I think he'll slot right in as that guy in the offense. If he can break a big one, you can break the slate. That's all I'll say. Boom or bust, GPP play Ashton Dulin. All right, guys, that'll do it for me here at FSI. My name is TKNation47 on Twitter. You can find us at FSI_DFS on Twitter and on our website, www.fsidfs.com. Awesome, guys. Join the Discord. Join us up. Like this video. Comment below with any questions you may have. Enjoy your day.